Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. This is a requested video and a challenge video, so I am going to go into my craft room and close the door. Maybe a year ago, not quite a year ago, I shared a picture of my craft room. Sorry, I had to go in and close the door. Shared a picture of my craft room, and I've had people ask me since then for an update and for a brief rundown of what is where. So that is what I'm doing now. And the reason I'm doing it now is I was on the phone with a friend and she said, I haven't seen your craft room and I want to see exactly what it looks like right now. No cleaning, no anything, just as it is. So this is my craft room in all its glory after I've done projects for the last couple days. Just finishing up some projects. All right, so most of this is the same. I have an old cast iron that I use as a doorstop. Cutting mat goes behind the door. Just one of the lace spool organizer that I have for the cotton frizz and the lace. And that's behind the door. And that has been working really well. This bag that I made to put my receipts in when I first walk in the room. And when you walk in the room to the left is this mostly built-in unit that I created just to fit this space. Those enamelware bins that you're seeing directly in front of you hold different types of scraps because most of what I do is scraps. And there is the, garage parking, RV parking, whatever you want to call it. And it's working really well. All of this stuff is, I believe, pretty much the same as my previous video. But again, I'm honoring that request to give an update. I did finish my curtain. I'll go over there in a little bit. I got canvas burlap type. Well, I guess they're not really burlap. They're more canvas curtains. And then I found another one at a estate sale that I sewed on top of it. And I like the little bit amount of lace that it gives. So, all right. So when you walk in the room, there is an L-shaped desk. And that's something that has changed. So I'll talk about that a little bit. But I think most of this stuff is essentially the same. I don't think there's any big changes here. People did ask, one of the questions I've had a couple times is what are the different things I store in my bins, and especially these sewing machine drawers. So these are drawers from old sewing machines that have been deconstructed. And most of them have things like envelopes or old ephemera. I think most of these are all envelopes. And this is inside the closet that I took apart. I took the doors off. And those are all old lace spools. And one common question I get is, where do I find the spools? Where do I get the old spools? The spools aren't lace spools. The spools are thread spools. And I find them most often at antique sales, vintage markets, estate sales, antique malls, that type of place. And then paper, and then some old suitcases underneath. One stores chipboard and such, and the other is all the daffodil stuff for the daffodil journals I'm working on. All right. And because it's a tighter space, it's just a regular old bedroom. Oh, over here is my Ravenclaw robe for my costume. So my Ravenclaw robe and shirt and sweater and tie and such. Sorry, I know it's horrible here, but I did to put it back down. So please forgive that last moment. But anyway, that's my Ravenclaw robe. That lives there on the side. And again, let's see. These are a variety of different size envelopes. These are more of the sewing machine drawers. Coffee dyed envelopes, lace doilies in different size, container, envelope style containers more. Pretty much all of this along here are just different size and style of envelopes and ephemera bits that I can put inside my journals. And that is almost across the board what you're going to find in here. I've got vintage ephemera in the drawers down there, Tim Holtz product there, vintage ephemera in here, Tim Holtz Christmas product there, lace doilies. I don't think there are any linens, but maybe tablecloths and such, larger size, down in the bins below. Empty spools up here, and glass jars with sari silk and buttons, and looks like some yo-yos and ribbons and a frozen Charlotte or a vintage doll head. I just couldn't resist. It was nothing cost-wise, and it was just super cool, even though I don't usually do anything with it. And up top, this is where I keep the vintage handkerchiefs and linens, smaller linens and things like that that I will use at some point. And those are, there's 2 of those. Long paper, some journals, my Ravenclaw shelf. A sweet friend from Scotland sent me these figurines, these Lego Harry Potter figurines, and I squealed. They are so freaking cool. So I added that to my Ravenclaw shelf. And again, more, this is just all, let's see, stamps and vintage bits that are made, and a different type of, these are all checks, old canceled checks. So more vintage ephemera. This is all vintage ephemera. Here's the stamps and more vintage ephemera. So these are things I use inside the journals. Tags. Looks like these might be playing cards, or again, more vintage ephemera, word cards, that kind of thing. Vocabulary cards. Yeah, vocabulary cards. This is these are all watch parts. I found these at an antique store at one point, and those are all little envelopes of watch parts. Coffee, these looks like all coffee ephemera and such. And then larger ephemera and bits up top. Again, all postcards, vintage ephemera pieces, paper, wrapping paper, any larger size paper scraps, a couple journals, either that I've made or have been gifted to me or I've purchased, piano roll, and then there's a couple more. I have 2 more of those toolboxes of vintage handkerchiefs and lace and such like that. And then some journals, and I think that was what people had asked for, and I'm going to move back. I know it's probably not the easiest to see. After the last video, I needed another piece, another storage piece. And I had a little bit of room, so I built, this is the long tall shelf I was referring to, and I built this shelf to fit in that space. And it holds books that I'm tearing apart, more enamelware bins. I think there's some Tim Holtz fabric and Tim Holtz paper and Tim Holtz leftovers and such in those. More journals and books, projects. Those 2 bins are, one of them is a bread baking tin and one is an enamelware. Those are the completed ephemera bits. And again, I needed another shelf, so I designed it to fit right in that spot, but I'm still able to pull out my art cart and my die cut cart. So that helps a lot. I don't believe this has changed at all. I don't think I've done anything different with that. Storage, ink and sprays and such. Items that are made for us. That's my daughter, my sister, myself, and my daughter Amy at her wedding last year. Last time I showed a video, I was working on this button lampshade, and I'm just not 100% sure I want to finish it. I really like it. And then that's my steampunk hat that I found at a yard sale. This is gifts that need to go out, that I need to mail. That's the small enamelware bin that has recent things finished. Determined as my word of the year. I don't remember if that was there or not. I don't think any of this has changed. Just like I said, finished putting that cut off lace bit on the curtain. And I don't believe this has changed much at all either. Old library card catalog. Those are the shelves I use for my trays. There are a lot, because I have the Libra Designs by Susan dies. I have a lot of them sorted this way. Just makes them quick and easy to use. And then small paper bits and pieces and Tim Holtz people and all of those kinds of things. Printer, and then a paper storage unit. And yeah, I think all of this is pretty much the same. The big thing that has changed is that shelf that I just showed you. And this is what I'm working on right now. I left it exactly as it was the last video, and I just got a message that some of my videos were out of frame, and I'm so very sorry. I tried to do the sewing machine and the pieces. So if there is something that you wanted to see that wasn't clear, please tell me and I will film just that item for you. Anyway, from those last 2 part 1 and part 2 videos, those are the leftover bits that I'm challenging myself to use those so that I don't throw them into another scrap bin. Though I have no issue throwing things into a scrap bin, clearly. And these are, I had started to make things, journal insert. I use these mostly when I've got a gap between signatures. So I'll make a little pocket and put some hinges on it, and then that can go right in between to fill any signature gaps, because sometimes there's a big space or a wider space than I'd like between signatures. And these were just the bits on my desk that left over from the last make. So this was an envelope that I wasn't sure if I was going to use or not. Put a cluster on it, and then I finished decorating the one that we made in the previous video. Just a little pocket here, cluster, and finish that up. This is the big change. Well, one of the bigger changes, and it's not even really a big change. I wanted to be able to, because this is the guest bedroom at our house, I wanted to be able to quickly and easily clear this space. So this piece right here that is next to my desk, so it makes my L-shaped desk L-shaped. It is not permanent. I can just pull this to the side. I don't know if you can see that. And it tucks. I made it to tuck under my desk. Push the footstool back, push the garbage can back. Then this piece can tuck under the desk. And the arm, this sewing machine is on an arm, and the arm drops so that I can put a queen size air mattress in here for extra guest space if I need it. So that was, I think that was made after the last video. And I think that covers it. My friend Kim had said that she wanted to see my craft room, the changes I'd made. So she's like, okay, she called me on the phone and said, okay, drop what you're doing, take a picture right now, or take a video right now. So I'm doing that. And one of the ladies I work with, I was in her office, and my classroom at school is, there's not much clutter or stuff in it. It's just really simple, partly because I was going to continue teaching online, and I went back to in person, and I'd given away almost everything. So I don't have nearly as much as I used to, but it's also very intentional regarding the way I teach and the way I find that my students learn. Oh, there you go. There's me, my reflection in there. So it's kind of sparse and bright. It's very bright and primary colors and Snoopy, peanut themed. And I was in a colleague's office, and she has a lot of stuff in her office. And she's like, I know this room probably makes you crazy, but it's not messy at all. Her office is just has a lot of stuff. And I said, oh, you haven't seen my craft room at home. It's got stuff. Believe me, I understand stuff. And she's like, yeah, well. So another person said, well, take a video, Corey, and challenge her to look at and see that you really do have stuff. And there you go. I have stuff. So this is partly for Brittany as well. And I think that's it. I think I met the challenge that I was issued. And if you've got any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to ask. And again, my deepest apologies for trying to show how I sewed and get the pieces in frame. It just didn't work as well as I'd hoped. And if there's something you want to see that wasn't clear, just tell me and I'll gladly film it, because most of the projects were really quick. And underneath this is my next project. So as soon as I clear this scrap pile, I am going to get started on the gratitude journal. And I've got two different ones planned. One very, very simple, and one with just a little more differentiation and detail. So there you go. Thank you for watching. For those of you who are here, take care and happy creating.